Good morning, Saitlanders. How are you? We hope that you're well. Today is Monday, the 19th of December, 2022, and the time now is about 10 past 1 o'clock. Roughly an hour ago, we received the last of the announcements of the winners, or the last winner of the ANC's top 7 elections at the ANC's National Executive Conference, which is taking place at the Rand Show. The old Rand Show, they call it Nasrec now, but many of you will know it as the Rand Show place. And many people will be very pleased that not only did Cyril Ramaphosa win, but that the other 6 people are part of the Renew 22 campaign. You'll recall that at the last ANC National Elective Conference that takes place every 5 years, so in 2017, Cyril Ramaphosa's campaign was known as CR17, and that acronym was used very much in the media subsequently. And there were allegations of bribery and this, that, and the next thing. Anyway, this year's campaign, built out of those allies, centered on Cyril Ramaphosa, was called Renew 22. And they won all 7 of those positions. All 7 of those people are connected, some more loosely and some more closely, to Renew 22. And for many people, that's good news. But I'll tell you why, no matter if that's good news for you, if you feel that he's less of a devil than Zweli Mkhize or anybody representing the Jacob Zuma faction, that if you scratch a little bit more deeply, you'll soon discover that there's something extremely ominous in the results. It's the significance and the meaning does not lie entirely in who won. There's greater significance and meaning to be found. The number of branch delegates of the African National Congress is theoretically 4,979. However, due to various malfeasances, crooking, corruption, what, some delegates were not permitted to attend this year's National Elective Conference. And so the number of voting delegates in this year's elections was 4,436. Now, Cyril Ramaphosa won by 600 votes. Therefore, if there'd been a swing of just 300, actually slightly less, 200 and something, if just 300 people had voted the other way, 300 out of 4,436, so it's a small percentage, I can tell you what it is, it's 6.8%. If there had just been a 6.8% swing, he would have lost. And so it was the case also with the other 6 results. They were all very close, meaning that the ANC is now divided into 2 crystallized camps of bitter enemies. And we know from last year's riots in Durban, 8th to the 14th of July, that those guys play for keeps, the others, the non-Cyril Ramaphosas. What they will have learned from these elections is that they are almost as strong as, but probably at least as strong as, and possibly stronger than Renew 2022. Why do I say that? Because all ANC delegates are paid for their votes. I know this firsthand. You may take my word for it when I tell you that I really know what I'm talking about. Not secondhand. I have direct experience of this. So, imagine if you had a million rand and I had far less than that to purchase anything. A new Sealy Posturepedic mattress, or, for that matter, a vote. You're going to do far better than I would. And I'm saying that in the absence of the vote buying, there would have been a likelihood that the radical economic transformation faction would have prevailed. They will leave that conference knowing that they are strong enough in purely numbers terms to take the fight forward. And more than anything, they want to fight right now. You can see how the monster is eating its own entrails. You can see how they are turning on themselves. Arthur Fraser, head of the State Security Agency, is the one who betrayed the Pala Pala scandal to the police. It's unimaginable. But the fight has now become so bloody, so much play for keeps, that you are even seeing such levels of absolute treachery. The head of the National Intelligence Agency betraying the president. They don't care anymore. The gloves are off. Not only do they not care, they don't care who knows. And therefore, I put it to you that the next year is going to be, in the run-up to the 2024 elections, in April of 2024. Yes, April. By the way, as an aside, the elections don't have to be held on the 27th of April as they were held on the 27th of April in 1994. They don't even have to be held in April. There's a window without a special election being called. Obviously, we could have a special election as they have in Europe all the time when governments collapse. We could have one tomorrow. But just as a standard, without it being any special drama, they can stipulate that the election take place, I believe, any time within 90 days ahead, prior to the 27th of April, or any time within 90 days after the 27th of April. I believe it's 90 days. I'm almost sure of myself. So 16 months from now, the 16-month period to April, I believe is going to be a very, very rocky period, because the radical economic transformation gang are going to know that in some regards, perhaps not money-wise, but in some regards, they are in as strong a position, or perhaps a stronger position, than the Renew 22 gang. Because on the face of it, the only reason the Renew 22 gang won was because of the small margin of win that they could purchase. Yesterday, I had a problem with my solar system. What happened was that we went into blackout, and I was running air conditioners and you name it thoughtlessly. I wasn't being reckless, I just didn't think. And the voltage dropped. In other words, I sucked the life out of those batteries, and the solar panels couldn't keep up. The solar panels couldn't replace that electricity that I was consuming quickly enough in that 4-hour period that we had a blackout. And in fact, it was within like an hour of the blackout beginning. And I couldn't reset the system. You know, here in the Boer Karoo, the Upper Karoo, on a modestly sunny day, not even a very sunny day, the 9 panels that I have, which are not the best, they're not the worst, they're just average, will easily fill my 2 lithium batteries that Mr. Miller gave me as a very, very, very kind gift. But even though the batteries then filled up, okay, because the system is off, nothing's been consumed, but the solar panels are working, and they fill the batteries, but I can't get the blasted system to reset. The system is stuck on the idea that there's too little voltage, that I've taken too much out of the batteries. So I eventually got hold of, very fortunately, on a Sunday afternoon, one of the bigwigs, bigwigs of South Africa's largest solar company. Not the largest installer, not the largest seller of solar panels, but all things taken together, they are the largest. And we ended up having a fat Charlie chat after he'd helped me. We chatted about religion, politics, and you name it. And we were talking about the stage 8 and stage 10 that the new kid on the block in the world of energy experts, Lungile Mashele, spoke about in an interview at the beginning of last week. Stage 8 and stage 10. And he was saying that he's skeptical, that it sounds to him like an exaggeration. And then I explained to him something that he didn't know. Not that I'm the boffin, but I had to do research on this in order to make a video for you guys, a certain particular video. And I was explaining to him how the stages work from the consumer's point of view, not the fancy schmancy things that Eskom describes to you. We need to shave from the base load, and this 2,800 because of a peak factor demand of 24 on a Friday afternoon at 5:30. From the consumer's perspective, every stage represents 6 hours over 4 days. So, if you hear we're going to stage 5, 5 sixes divided by 4 is 7.5. You should have 7.5 hours of power cuts a day. Similarly, stage 3 multiplied by 6 divided by 4. Stage 3 multiplied by 6 is 18. So they need to cut 18 hours divided by 4 days because they work on a 96-hour cycle. That's how those boffins do it. I can't explain to you why, but the geniuses in the world of electricity work on 96-hour cycles. I suppose it's a standard in electrical generation, or maybe it's just the somewhat arbitrary thing that Eskom has come up with to manage blackouts. So stage 3 times 6 is 18, divided by 4 is 9, 4.5 hours per day. And I explained to him why I believe that it was feasible. Not that I take Lungile Mashele too seriously. Who knows whether he's qualified for the job? Who knows how good he is? Time will yet tell. But he claimed that the insiders at Eskom are saying that we are going to go to stage 8. And I believe that there are some telltale signs to allow us to know that may be the case. If you factor in Ankerle, Gourikwa, Koeberg, that's going to be out now for so long. One of its 2 reactor units is going to be out for 6 months, and then the other one has to come out for maintenance, offline, I should say. So we're going to have half of Koeberg at best for the next year, at minimum. And if we do go to stage 8, that's 6 8 of 48 divided by 4 is 12 hours a day of power cuts. At the moment, we're at stage 5. And we here in Van der Kloof are having 11.5 hours of power cuts today. And you might say, yeah, but Simon, it works on an average. Yes, but at no point have we had more than the minimum. You know what I'm trying to say. It's not as if these 11.5 hours are compensating for the fact that we only had 4.5 hours yesterday, and 3.5 hours the day before, and 5.5 hours the day before that. We're at stage 5, which should be 5 6s of 30, divided by 4 is 7.5. We're having 11.5 today. That guy, that big fundi, electricity genius, told me that they've been having in his neighborhood of Cape Town on stage 5, because stage 5 is nationwide, 11.5 hours a day for the past 2 weeks. And he said, I know that for a fact because it fascinates me to check these things. So I check on my digital readout computer linked graph, doody woody woody. He said, so I know for a fact. I'm not saying, I think it was 11.5, it might have been 11.5, or my wife said last Tuesday it was 11.5, but then her sister said, he said, we have been having 11.5 hours a day of power cuts every single day for the past few weeks. Now, to come back to the Cyril thing, I put it to you that the radical economic transformation faction is going to leverage the discontent that is going to emerge in this country, erupt, if you like. I don't want to say explode or blow up, but that is going to emerge or perhaps erupt over 12 hours a day on stage 8. That is going to make it too much, particularly if, as this guy Lungile Mashele claimed, that it will be indefinite. He didn't say forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever 10,000 years, but he was speaking as if the inside information that he was receiving was quite clear about the fact that we would have to stay at stage 8 for the foreseeable future. And then he mentioned the possibility of stage 10. I put it to you that is going to be a cane for Cyril Ramaphosa's back. Morning, noon, and night for the next 16 months. That's my feeling. I think that these elections, in light of the condition of the country, are in fact a far more positive thing for the radical economic transformation faction than any other party or body or newspaper or commentator or expert or observer other than Suidlanders is suggesting. Time will tell. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye and God bless you.